Yeah. Hi, and a very good morning to all of y'all. Once again on a Saturday morning. So today's topic is going to be leveraging generative AI to transform HR. And it's going to be presented by our speaker today, Mr. Manas Dasgupta, who's also a member. A few points about GHRC. I will take about 2 minutes, and then we will go to Manas Das. So, GHS, before I move on, let me tell you that the main pillars of global HR community are Mr. Nathan, Mr. Ramesh Ranjan, and Srikant Arimanithaya, the people who are behind this whole community. So, GHRC is an AI-enabled global platform for students, people managers, HR professionals, startups, corporates, and entrepreneurs, operating under the guiding principle of discover, connect, learn, grow, and communicate. So the future of work, as we all of us know, is essentially global. And we are looking at a global platform for people managers, business leaders, and for global networking, cross-cultural learning, shared resources, best practices, talent insights, professional development, thought leadership, and so on. So essentially, the benefits of the community would be networking, learning and development, collaborative platform, career growth, rewards, and recognitions. So in a very short span of time, around we are in work from last 6 to 7 months. We've achieved not a very mean feat, you could see, because we have about 1,700 members who are registered on the platform globally. We have 6,000 followers on the LinkedIn, 150,000 courses which are available on the platform, out of which we have our own curated 25 courses by our authors, 250 job listings, 600 articles and blogs, and we have about 400 marketplace listings as well. We've also done around 20 events in the last 6 to 7 months, we could say, and a lot of white papers, research papers available on the platform. And very recently, we've also received an award under the category of India's Best 5,000 MSMEs, and we are very, honored by it, and we are very humbled to say that as well. So now let's move on to Manas. So Manas has more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry. However, at this moment, he is building his second innings. His first was in the last 2 decades in corporates, ending up with a 9 year stint in ANS Bank, where he was the head of wealth and technology. For the last 2 years, Manas, along with his co-founder Richa, are building a full stack HR solution and a services company. And this team is launching multiple generative AI-based talent products in Bengaluru Tech Summit 24 as well. In a couple of days, they will be showcasing it. And they have developed the products like AI-based interviewer agent, which promises to reduce the need for human intervention drastically. So Manas also follows his passion to tech and data science, and he teaches generative AI and data science to both the technologists and the business leaders, and is an author as well on global platforms such as Coursera, Aurelie, Udemy, and so on. So he's here on behalf of this edtech entity of theirs called Code4X. And without much ado, let me move on to Manas to explain about the topic of the day. Over to you, Manas.
Thank you, Shiva. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you, the entire GHSC community, GHSC team for having me for this webinar. And great to see so many of you have turned up for the AI session. I'm very passionate about AI, especially generative AI, the current trend. And I try to kind of do the job of an evangelist because it's a new technology with a huge amount of promise that it's offering in terms of not only solving very complex problems, but also solving and simple problems which hinder our productivity in our day-to-day tasks. So there is a lot of things that we can do at an individual level to improve our productivity in terms of improving the quality of our work outcomes, in terms of increasing the speed of our producing our outcomes, our job outcomes, etc. There are tremendous amount of opportunities, and I try to kind of create awareness within various communities with this kind of sessions. Now, we'll probably start with a simple example from ChatGPT. So, I mean, for a lot of us, GenAI literally equates to ChatGPT, and I mean, I'm assuming that quite a few of us have used ChatGPT in various extent in our day-to-day jobs as well. Right. So I'll just probably ask a quick question. Beyond ChatGPT, how many of you have heard of similar tools like ChatGPT, which can help you in your day-to-day jobs, etc.? Anybody used or heard of any other platforms like ChatGPT or any GenAI tool? So you can Copilot, yes. Watson, Cloud AI, yes. Excellent. Gemini, yeah. Perplexity, Meta, Ulama, yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Great to see this. Yeah, I mean, you have probably nailed most of the common ones. Excellent. So, how many of you have actually dabbled into? Okay, so I mean, you need something. You need to summarize a document or interpret a document. You use ChatGPT or generate some simple content. You use ChatGPT, etc. But how many of you have actually gone into the nitty-gritties of, say, fine-tuning the prompts that you are using? So, I mean, I'm assuming that you understand the fact by now that you use prompt, which is you saying or you telling the LLM, or you telling the ChatGPT, let's say, if you are using ChatGPT, as to what you want ChatGPT to do for you, right? Either generate a content from its knowledge, or you provide a document and ask it to do something on the document, right? So have you used prompt engineering, or let's say, let's not use prompt engineering at this moment. If you have used fine tuning of your prompts. So I've got one or two responses. Kumada, yeah, okay. All right. Couple of you. Aware, not attempted. Okay. Right. So, okay, that's absolutely fine. Which is why the session is. And we will probably start with a simple example. All right. Let me share my screen. Can you see my ChatGPT interface? Yeah. Yes, I think so. All right. Okay. Okay. So let's say, we have mostly HR professionals here in this forum today. And some of you, I'm assuming that are also from talent acquisition, maybe quite a few of you. Now, it's one of the painful things we have encountered for which talent acquisition professionals complain about is writing a JD. I mean, it's one-page document. You've got a few pieces of information, and you have to create a one-pager document out of it. And I have too many positions to attend to, and surveys to the business. And I really don't have that half an hour or 1 hour it'll take me to write that document manually. So let's say we'll create a prompt saying that write JD for a Java developer. Okay. Plain and simple prompt. And it is doing a very good job. Okay. Job title, Java developer, location, experience level, employment type, etc., etc., etc. Now, it's pretty detailed. Now it has created this structure, which is excellent. Now, if you try the same prompt, it is not going to give you the same structure. One thing to remember about LLMs is that they may not be that predictable or deterministic, right? If you ask your IT team to write a computer program, you tell them that this is the input, this is the output, and they produce output. Okay, and every time given the same input, their programs will produce the same output. But LLMs are not like that. Okay. The same model used may produce slightly different outputs every time, even against the same prompt. Okay. Now, there are several factors for it. I mean, the way the LLMs are constructed, or the models, the large language models, which is the engine behind ChatGPT, the way they are constructed, it that is that construct is the reason for they being non-deterministic. It works like more or less a human being. If you ask the same question to me 3 times, I'll probably give you a slightly different answer every time. Okay, I mean, the crux of the output probably is going to be the same, but the construct wise, or the verbiage wise, it's probably going to be different. And then the same case for LLMs. That's one thing to remember. So I'll introduce these factors. Okay, so when you encounter this, just know that it's perfectly normal. The second thing, a concept that I'm going to introduce is ChatGPT has this feature called memory. Okay, now this structure that it is creating, some of it is captured in the memory because I was practicing. Okay, I have already practiced this prompt before coming to the session to see that. Okay, and I have also given it a refined version, okay, which I'm going to show you now. And with the feature of memory, ChatGPT captures my preferences, my state, etc. And some of the responses that it is going to produce are also from the memory. So that means that it knows what I prefer, the kind of structure that I prefer about the output, and it will tend to create that kind of structure. Okay, the kind of responses I prefer based on my scenario, it captures some background scenario and keeps it in the memory, and it is going to produce the output based on that memory. Now, sometimes, or most of the times, it's a good feature, but sometimes for me, for this particular presentation, it may not be a good feature because I want to show you the difference between a refined prompt and a unrefined prompt. Now, because of the memory, it's probably already refined it because it knew from the memory that Manas wanted this refined version. Okay, so if you have the need for not having not factoring in the memory in ChatGPT, then you have to do this or set this option called temporary chat. So when you say temporary chat, I've got a new chat and it does not have a memory. Okay. Now, let me give you a improved version of the prompt, and we will go through the way you should ideally construct prompts. I'm not typing it because it's going to take a lot of time. So I have a copy of it. So I've copied it. So there are 4 things or 4 parts of a prompt. It's not necessary that you have to use this structure every time. Based on your situation, your scenario, you can use all of them or use a couple of them, or whatever be the scenario, you can judge, and you can create your prompt construct using this structure. Okay, so first there is a context. Okay, so in the context, what I'm doing is I'm telling it, you are the talent acquisition professional currently hiring for technology roles. I need you to create various TA artifacts. So JD is a TA artifact. Followed by instruction. Okay, create a detailed, so in the instruction, I'm asking it, create a detailed JD for a Java developer role. It should be written in simple but professional language. So if you need a tone, okay, if you need a document to be in a simple manner, if you need a lot of jargons to scare somebody, you can mention all of that in the instruction. So I'm saying create a detailed JD, okay, simple and professional language. Then I am coming to the inputs. In the input section, I'm telling it the various pieces of information that it should use in the JD. 6 to 10 years of experience, Spring Boot, Hibernate, Java kind of, for example, skills. Location will be Chennai, mode will be hybrid, etc., etc. Then after the inputs part, then comes to the output format. This is very, very important. Based on this, your output is going to be structured, because not all the time you need, a lot of times you will have a view or a requirement of the structure in which you want the output to be in. Okay, so let's say you have a company defined format of job descriptions, right? It has to have the exact three sections, and followed by some pieces of information, and that is the structure that you should follow for all the JDs in your company. Now, if you have a requirement like that, that has to come clear in the output structure, because ChatGPT doesn't know what is your company format requirement for JDs, right? So anytime you need a particular structure, the format to be in, you need to mention the output format. So here we are saying role name, location. So mention the role name, location, mode, role description, etc., etc. Add any other important fields you deem fit, right? So this is the refined format. Okay, so after so you can note down. I mean note down, or we can possibly share this later. This is a refined structure of prompts in case of complex situations. For simple scenarios, you may use a flat structure, but if you want to really provide all the information to your prompts, here is a refined structure. And as you can see, ChatGPT is producing the structure that we have mentioned. Now, ChatGPT has recently come out with a novel feature. Okay. And the feature is, let's say I am highlighting this portion over here, and I want ChatGPT to regenerate this based on an instruction. So you have seen what has just happened. So here is my highlight, and here is this piece of code symbol. I click on it and I say that please expand this part. And it is going to regenerate that part for you. Okay, so there's a new feature that they have released recently. So you can highlight a part of the content that is produced by ChatGPT, and you can do something with it, expand, regenerate using specific instructions, etc., etc. All right, so this is a very simple example to start with. Now, essentially, what does generative AI do? It's good at comprehending text, which is our natural language. So basically, there is a field of study in data science which is called natural language processing, or NLP. And there has been a lot of advancement in the field of natural language processing over the last several years, even decades, right? There is a lot of algorithms for processing natural language and understanding of natural language that have happened. Now, as a result of that, the tools like ChatGPT, or the engines or models, multimodal models or large language models, etc., are the culmination of those studies on natural language processing. So the LLMs feature is, I mean, the basic thing about LLMs, which are the engine behind generative AI, is that they understand or comprehend human language or natural language just like human beings. Okay, and they can also articulate outputs in human-like language. So they can understand the natural language, they can articulate or produce natural language. And they also hold a knowledge base. So if you talk about ChatGPT, it knows everything, right? How did it know everything? So this companies like Google's or Meta's and OpenAI, Microsoft, etc., what they have done is that they have scoured the entire internet, literally scrapped all the information in the internet. Okay. And they have put this information in training these large language models. So what are the capabilities now? This Gen AI models can understand natural language, they can produce natural language, and they know everything in the world because that's the information they are trained on. Okay. Now your website, I mean, most of you would have a company website, etc. Believe me or not, every day, at least 50 to 100 bots are reading or scraping from your websites. And that's how all these models are built. And they know everything. They know even more than what you know about your company by gathering all this information from your website. So then they know everything. So capabilities, understand natural language, produce natural language, and they know everything. Now the combination, you can imagine what they can do. Okay. ChatGPTs are simple tools using this essential capabilities in generative AI. Right now, we will do some theory, but before that, we will take you through a few interesting configurations that is going to be handy. Right. So if you go to the top right-hand corner of the screen and go to this, okay, so I'll show you my plan. So there are free plans. I mean, for most cases, for individual productivity, free plans are okay. But if you are a power user of ChatGPT, and once you start using ChatGPT, you will probably, I mean, in a lot of cases, based on your job role, your function, in a lot of cases, you will actually get addicted to it in terms of improving the quality of your work, improving the speed of your work, and it'll probably push you to become a power user. And if you want to become a power user, you will probably push the free version to a limit, and it is not going to support anymore. Of course, they have to make money. So in that case, I mean, I am a kind of power user, I can say. I do a lot of things using ChatGPT and similar tools. And I have taken up a business license. So I have a plus license, which costs $20 a month, and it has several advantages. There are rate limits, increased rate limits. There are increased amount of content generation and content ingestion that I can perform using ChatGPT, etc. So, and I have the ability to access the latest models of ChatGPT. All of those features are there. Now, coming out of the plan, as I mentioned, I have the ability to access the latest models. But I mean, for a not so power user, I think most of the models that ChatGPT provides in the free version also are good enough. So if you go to the right-hand corner, right-hand top corner, and click on this, this is the model, and there are different models which are the large language models that power the ChatGPT, and there are different models available in ChatGPT based on the kind of work that you want to get done. So, for instance, right now by default it is set to GPT-4o. This is one of the latest model, but I also have the ability to access O1 preview, O1 mini. The mini models are smaller size models. I have GPT-4o mini, GPT-4, etc. It's a bit of legacy. And mini versions are very, very fast. They are miniaturized version of the original ones. So there are mathematical algorithms by which they compress a model The quality of the output in complex scenarios may not be that great, but they are very, very fast. So based on your scenario, you can choose the model. You can see the models that you have available in your version, and you can choose the model based on your need. Okay. Right. So now that was the plan and the models. And if you want to know actually what other models are available, you can say open AI models in Google, and it'll take you to the models page. And here on this page, you can browse through all the models that OpenAI provides. Okay. Right. So coming back to settings, I'll take you through a few. If you want your chats to be archived and not to show somebody using the somebody has access and using something to scratch on the share. Can that be stopped, Shubha?
Sorry, Manas?
Yeah. So do you see a scribble on the screen in gray font?
Yes,
gray,
yes, we do see, we do see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody has scratched to, I mean, some whiteboarding option open. Can that be closed? I don't know how to close that in Zoom.
Ritika, could you look into this?
Can that be deleted?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm checking. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. So I'll go on. In the meantime, you can do your research. All right. So where was I? I was here in settings. All right. So you have an option of archiving chats so that they are going to go from your left panel, and it'll get archived, but you have access to that. Right. So, all right. So my memory is on. So you can see my memory is on. And if I don't want ChatGPT to capture the memory, so that means that, so what is the memory? So whenever you mention something in your prompts, which reflects a state of yourself or your work, for instance, those will get smartly captured by ChatGPT. Okay, so something like remember that I like concise responses. If you write this in your prompt, ChatGPT will capture it and keep it in the memory. Okay, I just got a puppy. Okay, so ChatGPT will remember that. So it reflects your state of your life, state of your work, state of your preferences, etc., etc. So they will get promptly captured by ChatGPT, and whenever it does, you will see a message popping up on top of the prompt saying memory updated. So that means it has captured that part of the prompt. Okay, so if you don't want that, and if you want ChatGPT to have a fresh memory, clean blank slate every time it gives you outputs, you can switch it off. Okay, so that's one thing. And you can also go to the manage option and delete some of your memories or create clear memories, etc. Speech option is probably available in plus. Data control. Okay, so this is a very interesting option over here. Improve the model for everyone. So all of us have data privacy concerns. Okay, now our concern is that whenever we are sending a prompt into ChatGPT, say for instance, I'm a TA person, TA professional, and I want to parse a resume using ChatGPT. Now, when I put that CV into ChatGPT, or let's say, for instance, I want to do something with my company policy, and if I provide that into ChatGPT, our concern is that that information is captured in ChatGPT and that is going to surface somewhere else. Okay. and may even be referred. Okay, because now the LLMs are also getting very smart. They are able to refer to information along with the output that they are generating. Okay, so we don't want that. In that case, we will switch this control off, switch this option off, improve the model for everyone. If we want our prompt to be used for ingestion into further model training, by all means, switch it on. But if data privacy is our concern, please switch it off. Okay, so that's another one. Build a profile we don't need. Connected apps is another one. Okay, so sometimes you may have to add or attach a particular document to ChatGPT, just like uploading your company policy and extracting some answers from company policy, or uploading a resume to extract the key details from the resume, etc. So what happens is that when you use ChatGPT and use this, click this option, attachment option, normally you will see this option called upload from computer. But if you want to also upload from a Google Drive or upload from Microsoft OneDrive, if you have access to those, and if you want the upload to happen from there rather than your personal laptop, etc., then you can connect to this Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. So if I have a Google Drive already connected, so what you have to do is that click on this connect option, and it is going to take you through the authentication. It's going to ask you your credentials in OneDrive. It's going to ask you a password. Give that, and it is going to connect your ChatGPT to the Microsoft OneDrive. Okay, so that's another possibility. You can also enable multi-factor authentication if you want. So those are all options. So these are some of the configuration options that you can use in ChatGPT. So I thought some of this option may not be known to everyone. So you can, I mean, this setting some of these options definitely help you do your job, do your usage of ChatGPT better. So maybe it is going to be useful. Okay, some scribbling is still there on the screen. Ritika is researching on how to remove that, but we will go on anyway. Okay, just give me one moment. I'll share something else. But before that, I'll stop for a moment and ask if anybody has any question. I will look into the chat. You can put your question in the chat. Won't JDB, okay, Kumuda is asking, won't JDB created by AI engine look almost the same? How do we make it more unique and equaling to the target segment of talent? Yes, so that's a problem, right? See, there are some language nuances, I mean, common language nuances when you are using AI, right? So you need to be smart to get around that problem. What you have to do is that every time change the tone of your output that you are generating. So by mentioning the tone that you want in your prompt, okay. So by tweaking the prompt, by changing the output structure, by doing a bit of reshuffling, by changing the tone, etc., etc., with subtle nuances in your prompts, you can change the quality of the output. You can change the tone of the output. Okay, so this is something that you will master. You have to keep on practicing. I mean, try out different variations of the prompt for creating the JD, and you will see the difference that it is coming up with. Okay, sometime, and there are some language nuances that you will observe that it comes up with. And when you observe that it's coming up too many number of times, you can say that, okay, cut out the fluff, only give me the content. Okay, or sometimes say that, okay, can you expand this part a little bit more, or make it simple to understand, or maybe add an anecdote. Okay, so all these variations are possible, right? So yeah, so I mean, it's kind of trying out different variation and finding out which suits you most, right? Okay, so any other? Is it possible to get some templates in Excel format? Okay, I can try to create a few templates. So if you write down a few use cases, your use cases in the chat box, we will take that away and we can share some templates with you. Okay.
Manas, I have a question, Manas.
Yeah, sure.
You said for all those privacy controls, data controls, we can switch it off so that we maintain and you can switch off the memory. Rather than that, why can't we go and use the private ChatGPT? You can create a private ChatGPT, right? Which is not in the public domain and it's private to you.
No, you cannot create a private ChatGPT. You can create something similar. So OpenAI models are not open source. So you can have your private version only if you have a open source version. So, okay, let me explain this part. If you really want a very private version, what are the solutions available to you? So number one is switching off this privacy control. So, I mean, basically, then it's left onto the company, the provider, in this case, OpenAI, to oblige to that control. But it's anybody's guess whether they are actually in spirit and by letter they are obliging by it, that you have set it off, so I'm not going to use it. Okay, so you have to trust it. I mean, if they're doing something else, it's anybody's guess, right? So if you can't trust it, then there are two options. One is going for cloud versions. Okay, so let's say, for instance, you can have your build your ChatGPT version using AWS cloud or Azure cloud or GCP cloud. They have their cloud versions available, and they also say that, okay, it's your private version, nobody is having access to it, and you are absolutely safe and secure, etc. Again, it's their undertaking. If they have some loopholes, I mean, leakages of data, either deliberate or involuntary, we don't know. That's not in our control. It's simply not in our control. So they give the undertaking. They have private versions. You can use the cloud versions, and you can use any of the models in the cloud versions available. One downside is they're fairly expensive. Okay, AI services in cloud are fairly expensive. Third option is having your cloud version. So having your cloud version will require open source models. Open source models, OpenAI doesn't give open source models. Meta's Llama has open source models. There are a few others which have open source model. One place where if you want to really experiment to find out which are the open source models, you can go to a place called, a website called Hugging Face and find out. I'll type it in here. It's a funny name. And if you really want to see which models are the best ones, etc., there is something called Hugging Face leaderboard, and you can see which models are open source and which models are the best for what kind of tasks, etc. There are a lot of parameters, ranking, etc., all of those, but some of those are very technical. If you want to experiment, you can. These are the two places. So one thing, you need to have an open source model. Okay, now once you have an open source model, you have to create your private infrastructure for hosting that open source model and create your ChatGPT like interface. Creating a ChatGPT like interface is a small deal, no big deal about it. That can be done very easily. Creating an infrastructure for running an LLM like Olama, the decent versions of Olama, is a huge deal for any organization, because they need a GPU infrastructure, and GPU and one GPU is not going to work. You need for decent models, you need at least 4 GPUs. Basic infrastructure, you need 4 GPUs, and one GPU costs, only the GPU costs anywhere between, decent GPUs will cost anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000 one piece, and you need at least 4 pieces stitched together in your GPU infrastructure. That's only the GPU. So you can understand the kind of costing that is going to require. So unless you have got a huge use case, you're a large organization, you have big pocket, etc., etc. The second two options are not really viable at this moment. So for large implementations of GenAI, one hindrance of democratization across organization is the costing. Cloud is expensive. It doesn't have capex. Private versions need a huge amount of capex. Okay, so that's does it answer your question, Ranjan?
Yeah, more or less it answers the question.
Thank you. All right. So where was I? Yeah. So I will probably. Yeah. So is there any other question? What's the difference between switch on, switch off privacy and? Okay. So the difference between switch and switch off of privacy control. So switch off, switch on privacy control means that your data that you are using on ChatGPT is not going to be ingested by ChatGPT for their further model training. Okay, your data remains safe with you. It is not leaked. That's the undertaking that they give. Memory is a completely different thing. Memory has nothing to do with switch and switch off. Memory means, okay, let me, you can still share, see my screen, right? Here. Okay, so memory means, this is the output that we have generated, right? Memory has two levels. Number one is the most common is understood by this. Okay, so this output is generated. Now I'm saying, can you make the previous answer bulleted? Oh, is there a connectivity? Oh, there is a connectivity error. Oh. Sorry. Okay, I'll create a new chat.
You must have switched off memory.
No, that should not matter. Okay, so I'll say create a Java developer JD. Okay. Okay. Can you update the what we offer section to make it a para-like form rather than bulleted? Okay, so what happened now? I have asked a question, it has generated the JD. Now I'm saying, can you update the what we offer section to make it a para-like form rather than bulleted? So that means it can refer to the previous answer. That makes it a conversational thread. So in a conversational thread, ChatGPT knows what has happened before and what are the questions that are asked and what are the answers that I have produced. It has a memory of that. So that is one form of the memory, which is the conversational memory. Okay, so that's one memory. The second memory is when you say have I switched on or switched off memory? Memory is on. Okay, so for me, memory is on. I've recently joined IBM as a software developer lead and I want you to tell me what should be my key responsibilities. Okay, thank God. Now you see, it has this thing called memory updated. Okay, in the previous ones, you did not see this message. Now you see, the memory is updated. So that means even if I go to a new conversation, okay, these parts are not going to be remembered because across conversations, the conversational memory is not shared. But this memory is shared across all my conversations. So these are the two types of memories. Okay. Right. And this is available to you as your state, and this memory is used for all your conversations to aid the quality of the output that you are trying to generate. Okay, so that's the difference. That's a difference between the memory, and also I've explained the privacy control. Okay, so when I go back to Zoom, is there any other question? Sorry, could you explain the generative AI using LNOD example? Okay, learning, development, designing a module. Yeah, designing a module. Yes, so I mean, big example is, I mean, even my case. So I develop content for, I mean, I develop courses for a lot of platforms like Udemy, Coursera, Pact, Orally, etc. So I develop video courses. The kind of content that I can generate with generative AI is much, much better and much, much faster. I mean, so literally, I mean, if I would have taken to, for a course to develop, I would have taken manually 30 days. I can develop the same course in literally 7 days or maybe less using generative AI with much better quality, much better content. But if you are actually trying to develop training modules, full-fledged training modules, you probably need a plus version, not a free version. I mean, for intense amount of content, free version is not going to be enough. Okay. And again, it's you cannot ask it to generate the entire content in one go. You have to structure your module that you are trying to generate, create small pieces of small modules, and ask ChatGPT to create those small modules for you one by one, rather than, and I also do it. So let's say a 1 hour course that I'm developing is probably broken down into 20 different small elements of 5 minutes, and I would generate each of those 5-minute modules in one go through ChatGPT. And also, you need to have coherence and transition between the content of your modules in your course, right? So in those cases, what you need to ensure is all of the generation of content for all those 20 modules in your course are in one conversation. Don't switch between conversation, because it has a conversational thread and it can refer back the previous content, and the transition between or the flow between contents are going to be excellent. You can generate content, you can generate assignments, you can generate exercises, quiz, and footnotes, FAQs, etc. It's just brilliant. Okay, is it safe to upload company data and client names and other details on ChatGPT while working? Would you not get? Okay, so one thing is, I said that is a switch on or switch off of the data control, data privacy control. Now there are a couple of I wanted to cover it at the end, but I'll say it right now, the privacy aspect. So this is one thing, but we need to be very, very careful about data privacy getting leaked to ChatGPT and then outside. So there are some simple things that you need to keep in mind. Say, for instance, I have an example that I'll show you in a short while. I want to do some data analysis on employee attrition. Okay. Now, for that, you need to upload a CSV file on ChatGPT that contains your employee data. And when it contains your employee data, that's something that you do not want to get leaked, right? So you have employee ID, you have employee name, you have probably some other identifiable information. So we call it PII data, personally identifiable information. So you have PII data and you have the attrition information, the code information that you want to analyze. The PII information for this particular data analysis is not relevant to you. You want to analyze the code information. Okay, we'll see what are the code informations, like their departments or their, I don't know, tenure in the organization, etc. And you are concerned that this data should not get private. Now tell me one thing. You have the PII data and the core data for analysis, and you only have the core data for analysis. For the analysis, your core data is enough or not? Do you need the PII data to be sent on ChatGPT? Yes or no? No. So what is the first principle that you need to follow? When you are doing such a thing, you are uploading a CSV on ChatGPT for some data analysis, in this case, employee attrition data. What will you do? Strip out the PII data, right? Either mask. Okay. So Pankaj is saying mask or index the PII data. So mask or strip out the PII data altogether. Okay. So you do not need the PII data. Now, even if that core part of the data that you are analyzing, performing your analysis on, if that gets leaked, big deal. I mean, if you can't associate a particular piece of data against a particular individual, that data has no value. Say, for instance, hospital records, your medical records are very highly regulated, right? They should not be published. But there are some exceptions to it. Exceptions as in data can be used for research. Now, there is a, say, cancer diagnosis scan image that is being used for research. Now, when this data is sensitive, if leaked, if that scan image is associated with a particular individual using PII data, then that data being leaked is a sensitive affair. But for research, if somebody is using just the image without knowing whose it is, I mean, that's fine, right? So first principle, strip out your PII data from any data that you are using in ChatGPT for analysis or whatever, right? So that's one. Second, which is very related, is use a minimalistic approach. For your data, particular scenario, for your data analysis, you have the input CSV, which has got 50 fields. Okay, so we will see in a while that we have a CSV file which has a lot of different fields. That's sample data, but it has, say, 25, 40, 50 fields. Now, for the particular data analysis that you are going to perform, you only need 3 fields. What will you do? What will you do? Convert your CSV file to have only those 3 fields. Use the whatever minimal data is required only to be sent to ChatGPT in private domain, in public domain. That's the second principle, which is kind of related to the first, I mean, kind of indirectly related to the first principle on. So these are some of the simple principles we follow. 95% your data privacy concerns are going to be gone. Then there are other sophisticated methods that you can perform. So let's say you really need some data to identify the core data to tag to an individual person. Okay. And you are developing a GenAI application, not ChatGPT like this. So your IT team, what your IT team is going to do is mask that data programmatically. So when you are sending, so when your GenAI program is actually going into ChatGPT, then the masked data is going still not associated to an identifiable individual. So these are some of the principles that you can follow. So data privacy, yes, it is a concern. Are there solutions? Yes, there are solutions. Okay, and solutions are as simple as these ones. Okay, and then there are, if you are using IT, then there are standard data security measures, network security, data security, standard security measures that every company implement. Those are to be implemented, right? Okay, so any other motives? Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll get into some theory and see that we can see some more use cases. Let's see if I can. Okay, so I will try to so what are the kind of use cases that we are looking at in the HR domain? If we talk about, there are plethora. I mean, if we talk about potential uses of generative AI, it has use not in specific domains, but in every domain, every subdomain of HR, from talent acquisition to hire to fire, the entire life cycle. It has uses. See, your processes are broken down into small pieces. And for some of the processes, some of the companies already may have um, say applications. Say, for instance, Workday. Okay, so some company is using Workday for their HR operations. Somebody is using SAPL, or okay. So there are various ATSs available. There are HR suites available, but they still do not cover all of your elementary level processes or granular level manual processes. And even if you are using those SaaS applications or on-premise applications covering your processes, a larger part of the processes, you will still have a lot that can be automated. And in every subdomain of, so I mean, as simple as you want to extract the key information from a resume, that becomes a talent management use case. And we will actually see a hands-on of creating a employee onboarding chatbot, where you can create that chatbot yourself, and you can share it with your candidates. And the next time you onboard a candidate, give the link to the chatbot to this candidate, and they can ask questions to the chatbot. Okay, what are my leave policies? What are my reimbursement policies? What are my travel policies, etc., etc. Anything that they want to, I mean, onboarding new candidates or even employees. Okay, so rather than raising a ticket or sending you a mail, they can just go to the chatbot and get the answers themselves. Learning and development, somebody asked in the chat box, can you create content? You can create entire content for entire topics using generative AI. Suggest learning path. You have a set of employees, you have their data in terms of their skills, their project areas, their performance, their gaps, and etc. If you feed this information, you can create simple automations by which ChatGPT or LLM tools can create learning paths, personalized learning paths for each of your employees, individual employees. right? So one hindrance can be that when you are doing it using ChatGPT like interfaces, it cannot probably load a lot of data. So if you have 5,000 employees, it may get overwhelmed. In those cases, you may need programmatic solutions involving your IT, which can also be done. But for simple cases, simple scenarios, individualized, personalized learning paths for employees, that's absolutely possible. Performance management, it's another area where you can do a lot of things. If you feed in performance data of each individual employee and ask ChatGPT to compare and give you ranking information or insights from those performance data, then as a final step, you can use those information, compiled information and abridged versions to make your final decisions, right? Compliance management, you can say, for instance, if you have policy documents and you have set of regulations and you want to check whether the drafted policy document comply to the set of rules that I know that are there that we have to comply to. Okay, so you have got a document which says the POSH regulation of India. Okay, and then you've got a POSH policy document that is drafted, and you can feed these two documents and say, ChatGPT, please validate against the regulation, is the draft policy covering everything, right? You don't have to manually review it. ChatGPT will give you the answer, right? So these are, I mean, all across all subdomains, you can automate a lot of stuff using a ChatGPT and related tools. Resume extractor is a simple case. I'll not go into this. I'll probably just stick to this one. So this is something that we have developed in our organization, in the two products that we have in our organization. Say, think of a human interviewer. What are the inputs that they require to conduct an interview? They need a job description, they need a candidate resume, and then they need interview instructions. What do you want to achieve in the interviews? So some goals. I mean, they cannot, I mean, even if they have the job description and the candidate resume, they cannot blindly go and take an interview. They need to understand from the hiring manager as to, okay, I mean, these are the things that we really have to look for in the organization, from the candidate, right? So with these three inputs, you have an agent. We develop an agent, either a calling version or and this is programmatic. This is not ChatGPT. This is a sophisticated programmatic solution. It's a AI robotic agent. And so we create a web version and a caller version. Candidate gets a call or through a web interface. Questions are being asked by the robo agent. Candidate is giving the answers, and the robotic agent is compiling all of those answers. So there is a voice to text interface. So all the responses are captured, and then at the end, it is checking all the responses and it is coding those responses against all this information on the left hand side: job description, resume, and job description and interview instructions. Okay, and whatever the goal is, it is basing its evaluation based on that. And then once multiple interviews are conducted, it is also giving you final recommendation. These are the traits in different candidates, and these are the comparisons, and yeah, it's giving you a final hiring recommendation. But again, having said all the exciting automations and all, when AI is there also has to be a human intervention, so which is called the human in the loop. So this is a critical function, and obviously we are not claiming that it is going to fully replace the interviewer. You need to have a human oversight, right? When you implement an agent like this, it has to be implemented with caveats, with human intervention in the loop, human scrutiny in the loop, somewhere in between, at the end, etc., based on your particular scenario, right? So this is some of the interesting use cases that we have. Say, for instance, another interesting implementation in our products is that candidate is taking a test or a coding interview, etc., or the interview agent, etc., and we have a proctoring module, which is working at the background, and the candidates' images are being constantly taken. Okay, and then those images are getting into your LLM, large language model, or the OpenAI model. And by looking at the images, it is telling us that, boss, this guy is committing a fraud, or somebody mundi ghuma raha hai, ya koi dusra banda, the second guy is coming into the image. So all these are indications that will come up in the fraud result, and that is also being done by the large language model. Okay, so I'll quickly take you through a couple of more examples, interesting examples. Shall share my ChatGPT screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a CSV document. Okay. Okay. Now, I'll just give you a glimpse of that CSV document. Are you able to see my CSV doc? I think no.
Not yet.
No. Stop share. Okay. So this is a CSV document that I have. This is a sample piece of data. So I think we have stripped out the PII data. So attrition, yes. So basically it's a attrition data of a company. So this person has age 41, attrition, business travel. Yeah, so he or she travels really frequently or whatever. Then daily rate, some charge rate maybe. Department, distance from home, education, and all of those job satisfaction level for marital status, monthly income, then things like tenure in the organization, work-life balance, some score that they have taken, standard hours, years since last promotion, years in current role, years at the company, so that is tenure, etc. So this is my input data. Okay, and now I am going to come back to ChatGPT. And I have a couple of prompts that I have created previously. So I'm saying create a bar graph with department-wise performance ratings. Let's see what it comes up with. It'll take a little while. So what it is doing is actually, if you give this data to a Python developer, a Python IT engineer, it's actually doing the same job that that person, the Python developer, is going to do. So internally, it has analyzed the requirement, it has analyzed the data, and it has analyzed my prompt, what I am going to require. And it has broken down that requirement into into multiple steps, and converted those multiple steps into Python language codes. and it is executing those Python language codes, and it has given us the final answer. So this is the answer that it has given. So what was my requirement? Create a bar graph with department wise performance ratings. Okay. And it has taken the average performance rating on the left hand side. So basically the Y axis, and on the along the X axis, it has taken the departments, the human resources, research and development, and says these are the three. So essentially, you can see that the performance rating, average performance rating of the employees across all the departments are almost the same or almost the same. Okay, so this is one prompt that I wanted to show you. So essentially, I mean, basically, the idea is showing you how you can easily perform data analysis using ChatGPT given a set of data. So I'm giving a little tricky one. Is there any correlation between tenure and attrition? Let's see if it can come up with. I mean, if it becomes very complex, and in some cases, it may also raise its hand and say that, okay, I mean, I can't do it. Let's see if it can perform that correlation. So it has given some kind of correlation. It has given a correlation. Okay, so what it has done is a little more technical than I have expected. It has created a correlation coefficient of 0.13 minus 0.13, which is it is mildly inversely correlated. I mean, attrition is mildly inversely correlated with tenure, but probably we would have wanted something a little more simpler. So let me change the prompt to, can you display the average attrition against average attrition levels against years in the company. Okay. Right. So this is what I was expecting, actually. It has actually done a little more than what I was expecting. It has created the relationship between the linear relationship between tenure and attrition. It has given the coefficient. All right. Okay. So this is what it is. So at tenure of 5 years, an average attrition level is, say here, maybe 10% or 12%. Okay. At say here, if I look at this line over here, say at 25%, it's almost zero. At say against 23 or 24, it is very, very high, is at 50%, about 50%. And for 40, it's 1. Maybe there was only 1 or 2%, and they have retired, and that's showing up as attrition. Okay, so this is, so I mean, again, the crux of the thing is that with this kind of example, with ChatGPT, you can perform your data analysis. Given if the data is not humongous, it cannot take millions and millions of rows and analyze them. It becomes too heavy for it. But if you have simple scenarios, I mean, in this case, I probably have a couple of thousand rows in the data that I have provided. So in this kind of simple scenarios, it can perform data analysis pretty well. Okay. And you can keep on stretching it by giving it complex problem scenarios and see that how much it can do. Right. So I'll show you another interesting example. So I was talking about the ChatGPT that, the chatbot you can create. So you can create your own chatbot. I have got a HR policy document from the internet, and I'm going to use it as a knowledge base for creating a chatbot. Okay, now I'll show you the glimpse of the document first as to what we are using. Can you see my screen? Okay, so this is a document that I have got from the internet. It was freely available. However, I'm not going to scroll up or scroll down and kind of reveal as to which organization it belongs to. I mean, it's a mystery to me why a company wanted to publicly, I mean, in the internet, publish their HR policy document, but they have, and that is why it is available. But we don't want to kind of get it out in the open. So I will stop the screen over here, and you can see that it's a legitimate HR document. So we have got policies like, okay, so this is a sexual harassment policy, conduct rules, speeches, presentations in public seminars and conferences, etc., etc. So let's take, I mean, we'll take one of the policies and we'll ask some questions after creating the chatbot. Okay, so here is a policy document, and you imagine that you are using your HR policy document, your own HR policy document. You have got employees who can use this chatbot. Now we will go on, create the chatbot. Okay, so for that, we will get back to ChatGPT again. Right, so we will create a new chat, but we are not going to create a chat now. We're going to create something else. Okay, so I see the left panel here. So I have just activated the display of the left panel. You see this option called Explore GPTs. So if you are having ChatGPT in front of you, you can go to this option called Explore GPTs. Okay, and you can see that this UI opens. So what are GPTs? GPTs are your own version of ChatGPT. Okay. Now, in what way are they your own versions of ChatGPT? Number one, you can provide an additional knowledge base. Knowledge base, that is an additional document that it can use while answering the questions that is asked of it. Okay. Second is, you can configure it to produce the outputs in a manner that you want. So it is pre-configured. Every time you do not have to include all of those instructions in the prompt. So if you want the output to be in a particular format, if you want the tone to be in a particular format, all those things can be pre-formatted, pre-configured. So with all those configurations, it becomes your own GPT, own ChatGPT. They are called GPTs. Okay. Now go to this option called Create, and it comes to the screen. So what I'm going to do is I've copied the lines, and I will say create a GPT that has the knowledge base of the company's HR policies. It takes questions and answers them purely from the policy document. This GPT is intended to help employees in clarifying various policy related questions. That's what we want to be in the ChatGPT, in our ChatGPT, which is our GPT. Let's see what it does. Okay, so it says it's very interactive also. While you are creating the GPT, it says, what name would you like this GPT? How about HR policy assistant? I say That's fine. And it'll create a logo for the GPT as well. So like ChatGPT has a logo, we will have our GPT's logo. So it's created a simple logo. No, let's go ahead. And it says it is. So I'll go to the top right hand corner again and say create. Okay, now here is another interesting thing. It says share GPT. What is share GPT? You can control the visibility of or accessibility of this GPT, meaning that only you can set it up as only you can use it, or you can create a link. You can get the ChatGPT to create a link for this GPT, and you can share that link with anybody. And you may also want to publish this GPT in the GPT store. So when we first came into the Explore GPT option, you said you have seen that page gives you a list of a lot of GPTs that are publicly available. You can search. There are hundreds of GPTs that people have created and shared them on public domain. Right. So if you want that your GPT to be public, put it on GPT store. Just make sure that you are not exposing anything in public that is not supposed to be. And in our case, we want our employees to use this GPT, that is the chatbot, and we will choose the second option, anyone with this link, which is the default option as well. So I'm saving it, and our chatbot is now getting created. Okay, so this is the link that is created. So now if you build your own GPT, you will copy this link, and that link has to be shared with your employees or whoever you want to share it with. Okay, so it is going to give you the link. Okay, so now here is our GPT on the right hand side. Now it is created and we can use it. So it says HR policy document answers employee questions about HR policy with clarity and precision. Okay, and it has created some starters as well, conversation starters. So these options that you see over here, what is the company's parental leave policy or the remote work policy, rollover, unused vacation days, etc., etc. So this is what it has done. Now let us first check out what's there under the hood. It has created more things that is still now visible to us. Okay, so how can we see that? We'll come here and we'll say edit GPT, and we'll see this configure option. Now you see that apart from the information that we have given, it has also created this information. Okay, so it has given a name, it has given a description, it has given an instruction, and these are the conversation starters, which you can click directly, and those questions will be answered. Now we have forgotten one thing. What have we forgotten? Can anybody tell what we have forgotten? In the meantime, I will also check out if there are other questions.
Yeah, Manas, there are a couple of questions on the chat box as well, if you can.
What does GPT stands for? Yeah, that's a model name. Okay. So GPT stands for explain about training module generation. Could you also explain training evaluation? Please do address the question at the end of the session. Can you create live dashboards using CSV data? Can you create live dashboards as well using CSV data? So you can create live dashboards using this chatbot. So they're not going to be there all the time. You have to invoke it. I mean, if you really want to create a dashboard which is going to be there on a particular website, that's an IT solution. I mean, that can be done, but that's an IT solution. Okay, I mean, using ChatGPT, you cannot really do something which is like, say, Power BI can do. If you really want to do that using LLMs at the background, you can do that using an IT solution using LLMs programmatically. So all the things that we are doing right now, much more complex functionalities are achievable using these LLMs programmatically using their APIs. I mean, the agents that I have shown you that we have developed also, those are programmatic solutions. They have ChatGPT, not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the UI, LLM is the engine. So they have LLMs, OpenAI LLMs, that is the GPTs at the backend, the GPT models at the backend. Okay, but you can have a similar solution using GPT solutions like this that we are developing right now. Can it give predictive analytics like predictors of attrition? Yes, it can give. It'll be complex. Some that is going to be stretching a little too far, but to some extent it can do. Okay, like say for instance, when we say it show us a correlation between attrition and tenure, it has created the coefficient. So it has created that relationship between, and that is by finding out the correlation coefficient at the at the background. But can it do machine learning directly? It cannot do. I mean, really, the predictive analytics of which uses data science machine learning, that it cannot do, and that has to be done programmatically. Simple Python based solutions it can perform. It's asking ChatGPT plus services for creating a GPT. Okay, so is it asking ChatGPT plus? Or then that option is available for ChatGPT. So you can go through the, I mean, I'll do the demo. If you want to create a GPT for your organization, you can take one license at your department level, create GPTs, whatever processes you want to automate. You can create GPTs using that one license for your division, and everybody in the organization, everybody in the team uses it. So you can do something like that. For $20 per month is nothing for an organization. And if you have, if you are a power user, if you are into things like content generation, training module generation, then on a personal level, then also you can use the plus version, and you can do literally wonders. I mean, it does wonders for me, for my course authoring and all. It literally does wonders. Is asking, okay, sorry, basically, what does GPT? So GPT is so see, GPT as a LLM model is around for quite long. It did not appear in 2022. In 2022, there was a public version. I mean, it got a democratized version using ChatGPT. Okay, but the GPT models were existing. So the full form is generalized pre-trained transformer. PT is pre-trained transformer. I think generalized, I have to look up the internet and tell you. How does somebody can do the internet and tell me. In the meantime, I'll go back to the GPT probably, or generative pre-trained transformer. Okay, generative pre-trained transformer. Okay, all right. Upload the policy reference stuff. Yes, so that was a question I was asking. So what did we forget? Upload of the policy reference document. Is forgotten. Okay, so I will upload the policy reference document now. So it is uploading. And I'm going to say update. Okay. All right. And give me a moment. Okay, so this is our GPT, HR policy assistant. So as you can see that you have a ChatGPT like interface. So this is your chatbot. Now I'm going to ask, as per the HR policy, what are the kind of leaves available? It says searching my knowledge, and it says casual leave, earned leave, half leave, commuted leave. Okay. Can you explain the casual leave? Okay. So this is what it has extracted from the knowledge document that we have added onto the GPT that we have created. And now it has become your employees ChatGPT. So anybody has a question about policies, leaves, etc., they can. So what you have to do is that you will get the link when you create the GPT, you share it with your employees, and using that link, they will get the exact same interface that like ChatGPT. So that is your GPT, and they can ask questions, and those questions are going to be answered from your knowledge base that you have entered. Okay, so this is how you can create your own chatbot for your employees. And I've given one example. You can think of a number of different examples where you can create simple tools like this. Okay, using prompts, by using custom GPTs, etc. All right, so I will rest my case here. I think we are a little over time as well.
Yeah. I think mindful of time, but a very interesting topic for everybody. So,
I'll
yeah,
check if there are any further questions.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, this is just tip of the iceberg of what's possible. Again, as I said at the beginning, that I'm trying to do the job of evangelists, trying to create awareness amongst organization, because the potentials are huge. I mean, we have seen technologies like blockchain and metaverse and etc. And some of them have literally fizzled out. But the case with generative AI is not like that. It has far encompassing applications, starting from individual level productivity, individual learning. You can use LLM tools like ChatGPT as your co-pilot for learning, to very strategic, sophisticated, complex solutions for your organization. So
Yeah.
the breadth is enormous. Happy to take any other questions.
yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? I think we're done here then, no?
Can we have part two?
We'll do a
Sure,
full
why
day
not?
workshop on this.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
ChatGPT learning has got no ending, so yes.
Yeah.
We'll do a full day workshop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Happy to. So I'm actually taking a full day workshop in Gurgaon on 30th of November. So that's through NHRD and NCR.
Great.
Nice.
So we will do one for GHRC as well.
Of course we will, yeah. Very shortly we will be having a workshop.
Absolutely.
So, okay, then we will call it a day for the
Thank
webinar today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot for the
Wonderful
active
audience.
participation. Yeah, thank you, Manas. It was
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Manas, and to all the members who have been on this call. It's been a really exciting Saturday morning.
It's a lot of learning.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'll take leave.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you,
Manas.
everybody.
Thank you, Shubha.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ritika.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.